Hello and welcome to day 3 of App Innovation. Our keynote today is with Michael Bentolila. Good morning, Michael. Nice to be with you today.
Good morning, Tony.
Michael is CEO and co-founder of InsideBoard, digital change management company based on artificial intelligence. And we're going to hear all about that in our coming conversation. InsideBoard has been named a cool vendor by Gartner. We're going to hear about why that is. So just to set us off, Michael, tell me very briefly about InsideBoard.
So InsideBoard is the first AI digital change management platform, which helps companies drive their success in sustainable transformation and adoption to reach the performance.
Success, performance, what does that all mean? Let's talk about digital transformation. What are the challenges that you have established as a company in digital transformation? Why is digital transformation such a difficult thing to get right?
So whether we like it or not, digital transformation is everywhere, and pandemics period has changed everything. The way we are working as a team, but also the way we are defining success. And we are now in the new world. We call that the new normal. In this new world, the employee will work as in a hybrid world. And we need to find a new formula of success. Company needs to find a new formula of success. So they need to change. The status quo of the changing is not an issue for companies. And we call that digital transformation.
Okay. Digital transformation is, it's the big buzzword for all companies in all sectors, but it's hugely expensive. Is there a challenge in making sure that companies get the return on investment they need?
Yeah, that's all the question, is what is the success of digital transformation? So the first challenge is about adoption. Companies need a great adoption in their transformation in order to reach the performance they are expecting for this transformation. For instance, in a new Salesforce program, the challenge is to reach the new performance of the sales guys in front of their customers or to have more intimacy with their customers. And so the first thing is to think inside the company before outside of the company, because success comes from inside at the beginning. And inside the company, we'll find some sales guys who need help to reach the adoption of this large transformation.
How do we define adoption? Adoption means that everyone uses the tool to its maximum capabilities, or is there a risk that people will be given this new platform, they're interested in it for a bit, but then they don't really use it? Is that the adoption problem?
Yeah, that's the first step, but that's not enough. The question is, what is adoption? Adoption, is it only connection? Is it how I can have a great usage of a new process around these new tools? Or it's about the performance, or it's about the skills that you can have with this new transformation? The reality is that it's a combination of all this, and that's why adoption is so hard to reach for companies.
Okay, what's the consequence for companies if they don't get adoption right, or if there isn't sufficient adoption of a software platform like Salesforce, for example?
So, like Salesforce is very important because Salesforce is about the customers of the company.
Yeah.
So, if they don't reach the success in this transformation, they can have some issues about the performance. They can lose some customers. So, it could be dramatic. So, for all the companies we are working all over the world, what we can see is the non-adoption is also the non-success and the non-performance for the companies. So it costs millions, even if they invest heavily in their people with new program, with new training course, with offline, online classes, some communication tools. So
failure to adopt is a double hit of you're not achieving the success that you could, and you've also wasted all that investment trying to get people to adopt it in the first place.
yeah, exactly.
Okay. In order for a digital transformation to succeed, what are the key ingredients? So we've got adoption, but what are the other key ingredients for success? What's going to make it work?
So we all know that employees need goals and KPIs. That's clear. But with the recent period of this pandemic, what we have seen is that they need more autonomy, more transparency, and last but not least, they need trust. Trust with their ecosystem, trust with their teams, with their manager, even with the CEO, and trust in the transformation we are asking them to adopt.
Okay. So achieving all these elements, this is what InsideBoard does. InsideBoard, if you like, comes to the rescue and makes sure that adoption is a success for everyone. Tell me a bit more about InsideBoard as a company.
Okay. So InsideBoard has been created in 2014 with me and my brother, Johan, who is CTO. He is also a product guy and a data scientist.
Okay, so your background is a business one, right? Your background was in the Big Four, so you understand the needs of business, and your brother, he's the data guy. He's the guy who understands the technicality and how to put all that in place.
Exactly, and together we can combine all our expertise in order to understand the profound needs of the companies in their transformation, and also to create the new formula of success companies are expecting for reaching the success in their transformation.
And how much penetration? You're a French company. How much penetration do you have in the French market and the European market?
Okay, so I'm very honored because we have now more than 40% of the large companies in the French market as customers, and more than 150,000 end users all over the world, which are using our solution every day.
Okay, when you say 40% of the biggest French companies, that's 40% of companies who are listed on the CAC 40 index, so the stock market index.
Yeah, it's large companies.
Yeah. And these tend to be French multinationals, so they're working all over the world.
Yeah, exactly. We have also some office in New York. For instance, when I was in New York with my brother, Johan, we have a great meeting with a CEO of a large cosmetics company. And, transformation and adoption issue is not only in Europe, it's also in the US. Because what he has told us is that for many years, he has invested heavily in its teams, in training programs and so on to reach the success of its transformation. More than 100 million. So for him, he wanted to see us because he wanted a new approach about how I can reach the success, how I can have a better adoption, how I can reach the performance of my teams in my transformation. And so it's a worldwide issue, and it is our mission to have success in that.
Okay, so in a meeting like that, CEO of a very big cosmetics company, you're going to say, this is what we're going to do, this is what we're going to put in place. What do you tell him?
Okay, we are going to simplify the life of your manager and your employee. We are going to provide you a unique platform which will be completely integrated in the end user environment in order to give them the goals and all the boosters they need to reach the success.
What do you mean by booster?
Booster, we have different boosters. We have the AI, which helps each end user, each manager to reach the success. But we also have some boosters like training, like the ambassadors. We can detect the natural ambassador. We have different boosters like gamification also.
What do you mean by gamification exactly? What does that mean?
Oh, it's like Waze. Each time you are going to create a new action about your transformation, a great action, you can earn some points.
Oh,
And
Waze, the GPS app where you can earn points for contributing to the system.
Yeah, you can become the king of the road.
Okay.
And with InsideBoard, you can become the king of your transformation, and you can become also a natural ambassador because you have points, you have badges, and so you can reach a status. Everyone in a Salesforce project, no one can be great in all the thematics because in the Salesforce project you have customer intimacy, you have how I can be a successful sales guy in the process, or you have some better sellers than others and so on. So we can detect all these guys and create a community of ambassadors, natural ambassadors in the transformation. That's very powerful. It's a very powerful booster because we know that with 5% of ambassadors, you can onboard all the rest of the companies.
Who are your most important users of the platform?
The end users. For the Salesforce project, we can manage the sales, but also the back office and the manager, because the manager can have the aggregated data of the success of their teams, so they can monitor the change of their teams with transparency, with trust, and with autonomy. That's very important.
Okay, if we were going to take probably the most important one of these is probably the commercial guys, the salespeople, the people who are at the coalface, driving business for the companies. How would you define, if I was a sales guy and you were selling to me rather than at the top of the company, what are the benefits that are going to make me want to use your platform?
So you are going to have a more simpler life because transformation comes from everywhere, and our platform will be completely integrated in your own environment and will help you. For instance, if you have to prepare a meeting with large companies and you are a beginner for this kind of meeting, we will detect it thanks to the KPI, and we will give you the right contents. We will give you an access to the ambassadors or the contents, and you will have all the data you need in one place and in the right times, because in companies there are many contents, many data, and many tools to read the data. Here, with InsideBoard, we can create a unique environment, a stimulating environment for these sales guys. And even we can create a link to a new LMS, like my Trailhead. You can create a link to SharePoint if they want to use SharePoint. But the most important thing is about the end user experience, which will be more simple.
And ultimately, I'm going to beat my benchmarks, I'm going to make more sales, and I'm going to make more money.
Yeah, and the companies will be also happy. So as an individual success, you will also become more recognized. You will have a social recognition by all the companies because it will become a collective success.
Okay. Success filters upwards. And so when you speak to a CEO, you can say your company is going to be more successful, your people are going to beat their benchmarks, things are going to be simpler for them, and that's why they buy in. Yeah,
and you will continue your change transformation because for a CEO, change is always on. And the manager and the sales need success, but the CEO needs to transform every day, so he needs a success also.
Okay, let's talk about how you do that. How does InsideBoard deliver success for companies and the sales guys that we were talking about? What are the steps in order to make that work?
Okay, so first we start by defining success. And with that, we are focused on two areas. First area is about defining success by translating the success into goals and KPIs in order to have measurable and tangible and monitoring transformation by the teams. And these KPIs will be defined from the top, so from the vision of this transformation, and it will drill down into the organization by teams, by department, by area, by region, even by manager. And secondly, we are going to take these goals and KPI and to create a link with the people. And where are the people? They are inside the org structure. So in order to create something very collective, we are going to create communities.
Okay.
As you know, we had learned recently that we are a social animal for the pandemic. We cannot stay alone, so we need to work with inside the community. So we all have seen the success of tools like Teams, Zoom, and for sure Slack, and that's great. This is communities, but with InsideBoard, we are in the same DNA of these companies, but we go further because we have created a link between communities and KPIs. For each community, we are going to give them goals and some KPIs in order to spark interest of people, to create virality inside the community with these goals and KPIs.
I imagine that if you build your platform with communities in mind, that helps the cohesion of a company, the feeling that, especially if people are working from home or hybrid working, that they are part of a team, they're working with other people, and there's a collective effort.
Yeah, it's very important to create virality inside the company and to belong to something, and you can belong to your company through the community. But they need to know, each community of sales, for example, inside of the Salesforce project, need to know what we are expecting from them. So once we have the goals and KPIs and community, we are going to our AI engine to kick in and build a stimulating environment for each end user in order to reach the success of its transformation.
Okay, when we talk about AI engines, it's really important that we can illustrate this so that everyone can understand what the AI means, but also because you need to talk about your differentiators. So how can we illustrate InsideBoard's AI, how it works?
Yeah, so for everyone, we need to understand why we need to wake up in the morning. And so the AI is going to give you this why, but he is also to give you the how and the what. Okay. So for a sales guy, for instance, he is going to manage his day with a lot of information, a lot of data. And what he needs is to know what. It means what kind of data which help me, what kind of content which help me. So with InsideBoard, we're going to give him the what, the right content. For example, if you want to know how I can create an opportunity, but also the how I can accelerate this opportunity. So we are going to give him the training, or we are going to launch a challenge, because we can detect with InsideBoard if the challenge is more important for him or is more important for another guy's team, if his teams. We are not all the same, you know.
Okay, so it's not one size fits all. You deliver a different experience for different people based on who they are.
Exactly. We are not sensitive to the same thing. Okay. So we need to be more efficient in our transformation. So the end user, what they want is just to have the right information at the right times. Because we have KPI, we can create a link between KPI and content and give the right information to the right times. But also we can analyze what are the best booster for everybody. So for example, myself, perhaps I prefer the gamification, or yourself the training. So the AI will analyze that, and it will suggest to our manager to create a challenge or a new training for guys like us.
Okay.
And in order to reach step by step, people by people, the path to the success.
It's a bit like having a family, isn't it? I mean, if you imagine you have a family with 3 children who are each one is very different to the other, and each one needs a different approach in the way they grow and develop. And so the parents will give a different approach to a different child based on their personality and the way they work. It's a bit like that, right?
Exactly. And it should be the same parents.
Yeah.
And that's why today, if you have too many applications to give this kind of application, it doesn't work. That's why InsideBoard is a one business platform, change management platform, who is going to analyze what is the best for you and be a kind of, not a parent, but a success coach to help the manager and his teams to reach the goals with the right levels of engagement, training, gamification, or become an ambassador for others, for instance.
Michael, we talked earlier about return on investment, but what is, once companies work with InsideBoard, what is the return on investment that they get?
Yeah. So why we are very unique on this market? Because we are going to manage all the different maturity of the transformation, because as we said, change is always on. So we are going to manage the step of global adoption from onboarding people, awareness about the project, and adoption of new tools. But also, we are going to manage reinforcement. What is a reinforcement? It's about managing the new skills after the go-lives of the project, the new processes that you need to manage after the go-lives of the project, but also some new business thematics like the green policy that you need to manage with your sales teams. Even if we have managed transformation with Salesforce, you need to manage also some community about the top 20 customers. It is reinforcement. And then, because we have reinforcement and sustainability in your transformation, you can reach the performance of your revenue, the performance of your NPS, and so on. So all these steps can be managed by the same platform, which is InsideBoard, and manage the different levels of maturity of people, the new employee, which are going to start again with awareness, but also the more mature employee, which can become the experts and the ambassadors for others.
Great. Last question, next steps. You talked earlier about digital transformation is never over. It's happening all the time. What do you have, how do you see the next few years panning out for InsideBoard?
Oh, change is always on. It means that every company needs to change every day with every new information on the market. And so we will be the partner of change for the success of these companies.
Thank you very much for tuning in to this keynote as part of the App Innovation series. Thank you very much to Michael Bentolila. It's been great speaking with you today.
Thank you, Tony. Thank you very much.
And stay tuned for our other keynotes and roundtables. See you next time.